Howdy. With this video, I want to go over the career essay and also want to go over the schedule real quickly because the career project is going to take us up to spring break. Then we'll hopefully have a nice spring break after that, or at least you all will. I'll be grading all this stuff, but that's my problem, right? And when we talk about the career project, a lot of this is kind of an education project as well. What do you need to do from this point, where right now, and step by step before you can begin your career, whatever that's going to be. For example, if you're nursing, right now you're probably listed as a pre-health major, so you got to do these prerequisite classes. Then you have to apply to the nursing program, which is competitive. So how are you going to compete for that process? Then you got to get through the nursing program. Then even once you complete that nursing program, you got to pass the NCLEX, the certification test, before you can become a nurse. So it's a lot of little steps before you can actually walk into a hospital and say you're a nurse, right? So you want to make sure you understand that process from beginning to end. So a lot of this is going to be talking about things like that. We'll research the career you're getting into, but a lot of it's the steps that you need to actually get there. So on the 14th, we're going to start the resume, the academic plan, and creating the e-portfolio. There are already videos up on the content page showing you how to do that. And again, with the resume, you're taking, if you already have one, which hopefully you do, but if you don't, it shows you how to start with a template and get started on one. But if you already have a resume, you're just going to retool that and gear it towards the career you're thinking about pursuing. For example, before I started teaching, I was in restaurants for about 20 years. So at one point I had a restaurant resume, then I had a teaching resume, and the two really weren't that related. So I had two of them going at one time for a little while until I landed the teaching job. And that's kind of probably going to be where you're at, where you're doing whatever you're doing now to feed yourself and your kids and everything. But you also want to start looking towards the career you're getting into, and what can you do to make that resume look as good as possible for when you graduate and you go out looking for a job. And the academic plan and the e-portfolio, the videos will cover that. Then for Saturday, the 15th, journals 4 through 6 are due. I may encourage you to watch this MLA formatting video maybe a little later on, maybe towards the 19th when you're actually starting the essay. It's kind of up to you. It's not the most thrilling video, but we're going to be using MLA formatting in this class for quite a bit. So you're going to have to be familiar with that. Then I forget the days of the week sometimes in this class. Then on Tuesday the 18th, the resume and the academic plan are due. So you're kind of starting it on the 14th, thinking about it, but you need to get into it, get it done. I want to take a look at that before we start using it in our essays or putting it on the e-portfolio too much. And also looking for an outline for the career essay, which I'll send out here maybe tomorrow. Then we'll have the first two paragraphs due. You start sharing the e-portfolio with me. So kind of bouncing back and forth between the 0870 exercises and the essay for a Comp 1, right? But eventually put that draft in. I will do the peer reviews one more time, and we'll get that essay in and that e-portfolio completed before spring break, hopefully. So again, you can have a nice spring break. Then when we come back, we'll worry about the next two essays and get into more stuff then. But that's kind of what we're doing. And again, for the resume and creating the e-portfolio and the academic plan, there's videos up there under YouTube videos for Spring 25. You may see them numbered differently. I'm probably going to put this video before these other ones, but they're all there. Some thrilling viewing to see how to do these assignments. But I want to go over the career essay. That's kind of what we're building for. Oh, I'm on content. Okay. Sorry. It's been a long day for some reason. But we're going to download that and open it. So for this essay, you're going to have an 1100 word. That sounds like a lot, but you're going to be putting more research into this essay. So it's not really going to be a whole lot longer than the self-regulated learner essay. And you're going to be putting additional information in there. That research is for the college admissions, college programs, and degrees you hope to earn, and the job you hope to obtain with that college degree. If you're not sure yet, pick one. Pick the dream. If you're really into dancing, for example, can you open your own studio and make money and feed yourself in a career like that? And if so, what kind of degree should you be seeking? You may love dancing, but you're also going to have to run a business if you do that. So do you need a business degree? If so, we offer a couple of different degrees. We have the terminal 2-year degree. We also have the transfer degree to ETSU or UT or wherever. So a lot of decisions just right there. But if you're not quite sure what you want to do, maybe pick the dream and see if you can make that happen for you. And you're going to have the following requirements. Going to be using MLA formatting. You have to use at least 4 sources in your essay. One's going to be the source for your academic plan, the Northeast State website probably. Another source is going to be the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which you'll be getting into with journal number 6 to research your potential career. And then you'll have a couple of more that'll probably just naturally happen as you start asking questions about your career or your education. A good example there is what is the NCLEX if you're going to be a nurse, and how hard is it, and what do you have to do to study for it, how many people pass it, all that kind of information. You probably have to go to the NCLEX site, and that'll be a third source, right? So things like that. We're going to get into short quotes, long quote, summary, and paraphrase, which will be covered in that MLA lecture. All the fun punctuation. I still got the forbidden words there. You're not telling me how I can be a nurse. You're telling me how you're going to be a nurse and articulate that plan. You're going to have 4 major sections in the essay. The first one, you're going to provide a description of the specific field you're looking to get into. Don't just say you want to be a nurse. What kind of nurse? Do you want to be an ER nurse? Do you want to be a geriatric nurse? Do you want to be a pediatric nurse? Do you want to work in the NICU? Do you want to be a travel nurse? All these different types of nurses. Which one are you really thinking about getting into? Same thing with welding. There's different types of welding. Underwater welders can make a ton of money, but of course you got to go underwater and weld, and it's not always in the best places in the world, right? Those oil rigs up in the North Sea require underwater welders to keep that place running, so it can be a kind of dangerous job too. So, but anyway, you want to be as specific as possible about what field you're getting into. Probably want to give a little background about why you're interested in it. If you're, if you want to be a nurse. When you're little, did you put Band-Aids all over your kitten or anything like that, or wrap your baby sister in gauze, or whatever you did? What made you think you ever wanted to be around sick people at their worst moments and dealing with them? Which is kind of what nurses tend to do sometimes, right? Now, especially if you're going to be an ER nurse, you better get used to drunk people and cussing at you, and people coming off drugs and trying to do you harm and things like that. It's a hard job. But that first section, you're just kind of doing that. Introduce what specific field it is, why you're interested in it. And then you're kind of the thesis of this essay. And we're not going to do that 3-point thesis, but you're just going to kind of say, hey, I want to be this profession, and I have a pretty clearly articulated plan in this essay that's going to show how I'm going to do that. Then section 2 is going to get into all the requirements for the job. What kind of college degree do you need? What other certifications do you need? What are the admissions requirements, particularly for that program? If you're going to transfer from here to ETSU's business program, you got to apply to that program, and you want to see if that program is competitive, and if so, what you need to start doing now to make yourself competitive to be accepted into that program. If you're going to be in the Northeast States nursing program, it's very competitive. How are you going to be competitive? That's kind of what we're getting into. Excuse me. Other requirements, like the professional certifications, the NCLEX. If you got to be an engineer, there's an engineering test you got to take. Required physical abilities. To be an English teacher, I don't have to, be an Olympic athlete, right? I can sit and do my job for the most part. If you're going to be a nurse, you might be on your feet quite a while. And what kind do you have the physical ability to do that? Do you have the personality traits to do it for whatever job you're getting into? Not every job requires the same personality traits, right? And again, that's where you might start doing some research. If you talk to somebody already in the field saying, hey, you really need to work on this, with your personality or whatever. And, they count as a source. Within this section, you're going to include that academic plan, which is just a listing of the courses you need for your first college degree, but you want to list those courses in the order you're going to take them. Probably taking Comp 1 in spring is going to throw you off of the Northeast State listing of classes you need for the degree. So I want the actual, what you're actually going to do, not just the Northeast State or whatever college you go into, whatever their plan is. If you're going to transfer somewhere, how much is that going to cost you? And again, what are the acceptance rates for all these programs? Or if you do the Northeast State nursing program, how often what's the rate of their passing the NCLEX, which is actually pretty high, and things like that. So a lot, that could be quite a few, 2 or 3 paragraphs at least, because it might take a while to get you to explain what's going on and get, and of course you have to try and understand what's going on too, right? But it can be a lot of information about your education and what's coming up for you. Then section 3, hopefully you're gonna be able to kind of go, okay, if I can make it through all these steps, I'm going to be making good money, right? Like I said, underwater welders make good money. Travel nurses make good money. So this section is going to provide a detailed discussion of your career path, including salary information, where the job opportunities at. If you have to work locally, are there jobs available? If you want to work for Disney, you probably have to go where Disney is, or at least a lot of people have. Other remote, can you work remotely or not? It's kind of, you want to research that. If you want to go national, international, where are those jobs going to be? What are the future prospects of the job? That Bureau of Labor Statistics shows you whether the job's growing or whether the job is declining. Upper mobility, if you're a nurse for 15 years and your back's starting to kill you, what else can you do with that degree? Can you move into management? Can you move into teaching? Can you be a school nurse? Things like that. That may be a little less physically demanding. Trust me, as you get older, that becomes a factor. One reason I got out of restaurants is because standing on concrete 10, 12 hours a day in 100-degree heat. Once I hit my 40s, I was like, I don't know how much longer I can do this, right? Other possible career tracks that might open up with that degree or that profession. I just want to kind of think, I may not be able to do this for 30 years, so what other possibilities are out there? One other interesting consideration for your generation or the younger generation is how is AI going to affect all this? If we're not that far away from using artificial intelligence and robots who can almost replace what nurses do, right? In some ways. So what's going to happen there? Are we going to need accountants in 15 years? Or will AI be able to do that for us? When we just use our cards, it'll automatically go into an accounting program and it'll produce the data. It's hard to say. It's a little scary, but it's kind of exciting with AI, but it's a little scary at the same time about what's going to happen to various professions. But also want to hear a little bit about where the stress is. About half of all teachers who start teaching quit within 5 years. What's going on there? That's a lot of education to decide you don't want to do that anymore. So, what kind of stresses and things are happening that make these teachers quit the classroom? So the retention, the turnover rates, things like that, looking for that information too. And that might be another source right there. Then finally, section 4, once you discuss your overall suitability, you've done all this research, you've thought about this. Hopefully you're saying, like, I'm ready, I got the plan, let's do this thing. That's not unusual, particularly for dual enrollment students who say, I want to be a pharmacist. Then they realize, that's like 8 years of education. It's very expensive education, graduate level work. The job's super stressful. If you give someone the wrong drugs, you might kill them, right? If I misgrade a paper, nothing horrible happens. I just have to correct it. So the stress levels can be pretty big. So are you suitable for that kind of line of work? But sometimes students research and kind of get to the end kind of like, well, I don't know. And it's okay to say that at the end of this essay. If you're kind of like, I've done all this research and gee, I'm not sure I want to be a pharmacist. That's a lot of education. And they don't make a ton of money. It's maybe not as much as you think they might. But hopefully most of us are going to be saying, hey, I got a good plan. All I need to do is make myself marketable. So when I graduate from college, I'm going to go out there and people are going to give me a job or offer me a job. But how can you do that? Should you be joining professional organizations? Are there internship possibilities that you can get into? Volunteer possibilities. So when you're creating that the resume, and if it looks a little thin, you're like, wow, I don't really look like I'm going to be a nurse here, just looking at my resume. What can you start doing now to build that resume and make yourself look as good as possible when you graduate so you can get the job you want? That's kind of what's happening there. Of course, you have the works cited page at the end. But that's kind of what we're moving towards with the career essay. So you can kind of see we're kind of building towards that. We're going to start the resume, which is going to get you thinking about all this stuff. We're going to do the academic plan, which is going to be included in your essay. And I would probably do another short video reviewing the sample essay probably next week. And of course, we're doing the journals to get ready as well. So kind of be thinking about that. If you have questions, be sure to let me know. And we'll get off here. And we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.